Wow, that's a lot of words, isn't
It
it? And I'm like, good luck, Martin, because they're big words.
It's going to
And,
take a long time. Yeah.
it's going to take some time, but you do it, yeah. Because one of my aspirations is really to be able to do my PhD one day. As dyslexic as I am, and from my journey to where I am, one day I'd love to really embark on that. I'm going back in September to do my master's.
Yeah.
And then I think it will be the PhD. And I'm like, I don't know if I can cope or not, but it will be a topic that's very close to my heart.
You'll find one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it probably will be maybe culturally BME groups and how they perceive dyslexia.
Yeah.
There is not much work done around that. And there's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of don't talk about it. There's a lot of keep quiet. There's a lot of you were supposed to be a lawyer, Elizabeth, and not what you do now. You were supposed to be a top judge so that the family looks amazing. So but I went the opposite. Yeah.
Tell me, I mean, if I can ask, I was really interested on your LinkedIn profile. You talk about BAME groups and dyslexia.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that a little bit more, please?
Right. Okay. Now, the BAME group and dyslexia can go two ways. So basically, if I tell a little bit about my background growing up, and then it can link into why I'm really passionate. We don't solely serve just the BME group, we serve everybody.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is that we've got about 75% of BME group, because a lot of people say, look, I resonate with your story because where I'm from is exactly the same. So I was born in the UK, but from the age of 2, my parents took me back to Ghana, which is in West Africa. Okay. Now, when we went back, I went to school, I went to primary school back in Africa. I knew something was wrong. My mum and dad knew something was wrong, but they couldn't put their finger on it. I was always the black sheep of the family. Why can't she get it right? Why can't she do it right? Why is she so distracted? Why is she so rude? I was told when I was a child. I don't think I was rude. I just wouldn't do what... I just wouldn't do what they wanted me to do.
Yeah, and that's often comes as rude, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, my dad would say, why don't you look at me when I'm talking to you? Whilst I don't want to look at you because I feel a bit shy to look at you. And then if you look at him too much, why are you staring at me when I'm talking to you? These are all cultural things. Yeah. So it just got really out of hand. And I remember back in Ghana when I was about 8, 9 or 10, because I came back in the UK when I was 12, no one knew what was wrong. But I knew I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to see a teacher. I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to look at a book. And my dad would say, well, look, your other sisters are doing it. Why? What is so wrong with you? Well, we didn't know it was dyslexia. We didn't until later on in my life. So I come from a family of 5 children. I'm the 4th born. The 3, one of them disabled, he's severely disabled, but the other 3 ladies, sisters, have done really well for themselves. Got very beautiful jobs on their own properties, doing really well for themselves, married and all that. And then you've got me on the other who do the opposite to all what they've done. So my parents are like, gosh, we don't get this one. And then it just went on and on and on. And as I came back from Ghana, because back in Ghana, if you weren't learning, you will get what you call caned. They will use the cane and they will cane you.
You got the caned, yeah.
Oh, you get caned, seriously, trust me. And we saw it as okay because I didn't know any better. I don't know about now. I left at the age of 12, I'm 50. So I don't know about now what they do.
I can just say I went to a school where I think I was the last year where they were still caning people in Europe as well. Yeah.
Well. So you would, and to be honest with you, back in those days, if you got a smack on your hand because you got a word wrong, you were like, well, I don't want to get that smack anymore, so I want to get the word right. Just what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say they didn't know any better. That's all they knew, a form of punishment, Or sometimes.
Did that mean that you got the words right, or did it mean you got more smacks on the hand?
I never got the word right. So you can imagine I was always going to be the one with this is in school, by the way.
Yeah.
So in school, you get caned.
Yeah.
By this time, my mum and dad had given up on me. They just thought, look, just leave her. Leave her to do whatever she wants. She's our daughter. We love her. Brain or no brain, she's one of us, So they would love me for who I am.
Yeah.
Because they just gave up. They went, oh, look, we can't fix her. Let's just love her, And up till now, mum still finds me like, oh, bit odd, this one.
Yeah.
But it's because I would never do what the other sisters would do. I'm always like, well, actually, you guys might do it that way. I find a better way of it. Let's do it this way. There's always conflict,
Yeah.
you know? And that's because we think outside the box. I just simply think outside the box. I just don't like the normal way of doing things. I think that's a very extravagant, crazy way to get to a result that's so creative.
And I'm guessing that's one of the that's one of the catalysts that caused you to create Aspire to Inspire.
Yeah, because I was like, do you know what? Dyslexic people are phenomenal. You just got to find their strengths and you will get the most beautiful work out of them. And I just thought, I just want to celebrate dyslexia.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to get there, Martin. It took me depression, anxiety, low moods. There were days where I wouldn't come out my house. I didn't want to talk to no one because I can't figure out why I can't get this top job I want. I want to be a top boss at, I don't know, one of the best international organizations. But I can't get there because interviews and application forms and report writing and whatever, I'm not going to get there. So, hey, use your strengths, Elizabeth. So going back to the age of 12, when I came back to the UK, I then went to secondary school. Now, in the UK, in the 80s, if you spelt a word and didn't get it right, who cares? You just didn't get it right, you know? Right. And in the end, I ended up at the bottom set class of a school. So I was always at the bottom set. But the bottom set wasn't just dyslexic people. It was people with autism, with ADHD, with neurodiverse condition. And I always looked at myself and thought, well, actually, I'm not really sort of, I used to say to myself, I'm not, if it is ADHD, I wasn't really sort of throwing chairs or jumping up and down, or I was quite calm. But my calmness was like, I'm not going to read and write this. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to get it wrong. I don't even want to do it, by the way. So I say to the teacher, I don't want to do it. And she goes, Elizabeth, don't do it.
Okay.
You know, you're the one who's going to leave school with nothing. And that teacher was spot on. I left school with nothing. Yeah. And I thought, okay, so I haven't got no qualifications.
Did you feel there was do you feel the teachers didn't care? Or do you feel that they did that because they did care? What was the motivation for going, you don't want to do it, don't do it, you're going to leave school with nothing?
I just think for them it was frustrating. And I don't think I was probably the only dyslexic in that class. Yeah. So back then, I don't know what the statistics were, but even if it was 1 in 10, maybe I was the one. No, I wasn't. I would have been, there'll be 3 of us, wouldn't it, in that class? So maybe the teacher's focusing, now that I'm a teacher, I'm thinking maybe they're focusing on who's really doing the work and who's not doing it. Listen, do I want to spend the whole day telling Elizabeth to sit still and learn? Or do I just want to go to Joe Bloggs, who is actually doing the work? Yeah. So if they would have known about dyslexia back in the 80s and know what to do to help us, they probably would have given me more help. Because they didn't. Yeah. To be honest with you, I can't even blame them. They're looking at it as, we need to get our stats or whatever right. And if this one person isn't learning, and I don't even think we had a teaching assistant back in those days. I don't think we did.
No, I remember there were no teaching assistants in the 80s. Not in my schools anyway.
I can't remember.
2 or 3 different schools.
Yeah.
Do you think that your background in Ghana, where it was a lot stricter, meant that when you came to England, or when you returned to England and it wasn't so strict, you were less motivated, you were less pushed?
Do you know what? Even in my community now, when I talk about dyslexia, I get a few people go, "Oh, really? Are you sure? Come on, Liz, you look fine. You look okay. Come on, what? There's nothing about you that shows that you have a hidden, I call it hidden disability, Martin. People call it learning difference. It ain't no learning difference to me. It's a real battle for me. And I see anything that's a barrier to work, which my dyslexia is, for me, that's a disability. I don't want to dress it all up, Martin, because it isn't that for me.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I wear dyslexia with a massive medal around my neck, because finding out I've got dyslexia has made me who I am today. Yeah. But going back to the African community, maybe now some parents are recognizing it, but back in our days, and even up till now, we see some children where some parents will actually say, well, actually, don't label my child, because there's nothing wrong. Or some parents will say, well, actually, thank you for that. I'm going to get help. And again, back in the BME community, I can't generalize for everybody, but for the ones I've met and from my own experience, it comes across like, well, if you believe in that, then it's going to happen to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then you're going to, what is it? There's a word they use.
A self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's the one. Yeah. And again, Martin, I'm a Christian, and my Christian background will be pray about it. It'll go. And it doesn't go when you pray about it, by the way. You know.
By the way, my supervisor, who was not only a professional philosopher, but was also a minister in the church, his last paper that he wrote was on, imagine there's a physical resurrection. Let's assume there's a physical resurrection. We come back as we are because God's created us perfect. So this idea that you may be autistic, you don't come back not autistic, because that would be to say that autistic people are perfect. And so, this idea.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you work in Wandsworth, don't you?
Yeah.
You talk about the BAME community. Is it more sort of Black African, or is it Black Caribbean, or is there a sort of Pakistani, or what's the makeup of the community down there?
It's from Hispanic to BAME. It's Hispanic, African, Asian. We've had someone from, what's that place called? Oh dear me, Cambodia.
Oh, right.
I don't know if that's, I'm not too sure when it comes to Venezuela and that sort of group. Is it still BME? I don't know if that's still BME. But we've had across the board. Across the board,
and do they face any particular issues? So, for instance, with let's say, with people from Ghana, your particular group, your particular sort of knowledge group, if you like, with people from Ghana, is there less likelihood that people will admit to an imperfection? Or how does it work like that?
No, it'll be like, well, actually, first, I mean, it's really strange, actually. I probably must be the first Ghanaian, and I can boldly say this. That's probably come out and say, look, by the way, hello, everybody, I've got dyslexia. Boldly and confidently. Because even the word alone, to a lot of people, it sounds like, oh, so what's that then? It seems as if something is severely wrong.
It begins with the word "dis" for a startup, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. And it just seems like, what could be wrong with her? And then when they go up, I mean, now with a lot of education, people have learned, some people would then boldly maybe admit that they have that as well. I mean, I've contacted some amazing, excellent Ghanaian entrepreneurs. And I say to them, look, let's talk about dyslexia, because I know you have, because you've disclosed it. And they went, no way. No, I don't want no one knowing. I don't want no one knowing, because... And again, it's a private decision, isn't it? It's a personal decision.
Well, it's a personal decision, but all personal decisions are made within the context of a group.
Absolutely. But for me, I've got to a stage where I don't really care, Martin. I don't care what people think. I don't care how people see me anymore. I think I'm on a mission, and I say I'm on a mission because I also look at it as what I'm doing is God's work. I look at it as, if I can save people's lives through education and through knowledge to do with dyslexia, then why not? But I know if I had a Bible in my hand and I'm going, God wants to save you if you've got dyslexia and I can help you, that may not necessarily work. But I know that what can, exactly. But I do this work because I'm called to do it. And I think it's, it's a way of a message to the world to say.
Does that give you a lot of power?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love my job, Martin. I love my job with passion, in the sense that when I left, I went to college literally for 2 weeks and left. Dyslexia was picked up in university. And when I got the help that I needed at university, I was like, you know what? Everyone needs to hear about what you can be, what you can become, and how you can change your life around with the support there is as a dyslexic. Because my condition isn't just dyslexia. I've got dyscalculia. I've got dyspraxia. And then I've got the Erling as well, visual words.
Oh, right. Okay.
I tell you, trying to jump on the Zoom with you, I was like, I could feel my palms sweating because I'm like, it's not going right.
Really. Look, I mean, I think you and I are quite similar. I have terrible difficulties with numbers and counting. So it could be dyscalculia. It could be a form of dyslexia. I have dyspraxia. I have a touch of Erling syndrome myself. I believe I have a bit of ADHD, although it's never been.
Same here. I've been told. I mean, my doctor said, look, you could go for your ADHD. What's it called? Assessment.
Assessment.
Yeah, and I just wish they did everything when I was at uni, but they just picked up on dyslexia. So that was due sometime in January, and then coronavirus and everything else, it just went pear-shaped.
Yeah.
But I will definitely go for that because I get bored very easily. I get distracted very easily. I can't focus for too long. I just can't. It's like, we're doing this because it's visual and it's amazing. But if you would have emailed me everything you wanted me to do with this call, Martin, you would have heard from me. Because by the time I've read it, processed it, understood it, we're talking about December. And you're like, well, it's too late now, Lizzie. Yeah. But I love my job. I love my job because I want the whole world to understand having dyslexia isn't a curse. And it's finding out about dyslexia can open so many doors for you. But people's perception are different. I mean, I've worked in places where I had to leave. I don't want no one knowing about dyslexia. This was before A2i. I've literally gone, right, I'm going to go for a break. I'm not coming back because I'm struggling and they're going to find out. And if they find out, I'm going to look like useless, And then your confidence and your everything goes.
And if you're anything like me, you have physical symptoms of feeling of sickness and sweating and headaches and the stress that comes at certain points. It's quite quite overwhelming sometimes, isn't it?
Because I actually feel that it's not the condition that's the problem. It's the way people treat us, I think.
Yeah,
that's what the problem is. It's not having dyslexia. Hey, I've had this. Hello, you either accept me for who I am or you don't. But having people's perception, and I mean, I've done some partnership work with people, and I think automatically they're like, oh, maybe I don't think she can do this, and they keep stepping in, and I'm like, leave me alone to do this because I can, unless I'm working with another dyslexic, it's a real battle.
I don't want.
And when I work,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it seems to me that there's a glass ceiling for people with dyslexia. And there's a glass ceiling for, let's be honest, there's a glass ceiling for women and there's a glass ceiling for people in the
and for Black
community.
Yeah, BAME community. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Compound it. Black people in general, do they tend to look at university as a progression from school as much as white people? I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody wants their child to progress from to a university level to become someone really prominent. And I think uni is really the key. Unless you've got inheritance, of course. And of course, if you're like me, I can use me for example, woman, Black, dyslexic, you've got three things going on there. God knows how people perceive it. And I think if I have to turn it around, what made it successful for me, no one wants to hire me, but I work for myself then. I do it my way. Not everybody can do it the way I've done it, but for me, it was like too many rejections, application forms. I'm looking at people's perception of, well, actually, I don't think she's going to be able to do this. And if someone's got problems with race, it's even worse, isn't it? You're not really going to amount to anything. So I did it my way,
One of the problems, of course, is that you say if someone's got problems with race, well, even if they don't realize it, they might have problems with race. In the same way that they might not realize they have problems with gender, or they might not realize they have problems with dyslexia or something.
But I mean, overall, what I've heard people say is that, wow, I'm really proud, Liz, and I'm really like they'll give me a pat on the back because I think they understand, how can I put this? Because it's such a huge stigma, it's a bit like mental health as well. Because it's such a huge stigma, and I'm going around with this amazing label on my back saying how beautiful it is to celebrate this amazing, amazing hidden disability. Listen, take it on board and run with it. Because the doors it can open for you is phenomenal.
Well, can I ask you about that very quickly and very finally? I'm very interested. You say on the one hand that it's a great thing to celebrate, but on the other hand, it's a disability and that it's made life hard. How do you square that circle? How do you reconcile those two positions?
Well, what I call the hidden disability dyslexia, and it being like, oh gosh, it's really, what's the word I can use? There are times when I think, I can't even bother to come out of bed today because it's just too much. you don't even know where to begin. And then you look at, and then I flip it on the other side, and I'm like, well, as much as you can't spell that word and you're really struggling to get that report done, there is a creative way about you that you can get this done, you know. And I mean, I have a support worker that supports me. I've got a team of people that support around me. So I think there's plus and minuses with everything. That you know, you can't have it smoothly.
And as you said earlier, the disabilities tend to be those things that are imposed on us structurally by a system that demands that we read and write and fill in forms and.
Absolutely. So, I mean, for me, with dyslexia and all the conditions I have, it's a plus than a minus. Someone else might say, well, actually, their dyslexia is making them very low and depressed and so forth. But where I can celebrate this, because I've got the help I need. And I'm still getting the help I need right now. Rather than where I was, maybe, let's say 6-7 years ago. Because I hadn't spoken about it and because I hadn't asked for help, I didn't get that help. And that was making me more depressed than being verbal about it and getting the recognition that you might have. Or I've met some people that would just think, oh, really, you got dyslexia? Okay, do you want me to write it for you? No, don't write nothing for me. No, or they'll speak slowly to you because I think you don't understand it, you know? Or they would just maybe, you know, I don't know.
Well, one of the things that annoys me is the extra time in exams, as though that's what's going to cure things. Whereas actually, it's not the speed necessarily, although that's part of it. It's the way that the information is presented and the way they want us to present the information back. And it's the structure of how the exams are presented more than the time scale that we're given.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, going back to the BME question that you answered, which I don't think I probably answered it fully. I think everybody in my community, for example, I could say within the African community, education is really important. Parents would just say, look, my mother feels proud to say that her daughter, for example, is a doctor. For her, it's like, wow. You know, what I do for now, I'm sure she's probably proud, but she can't equally say that her daughter said her doctor, or a solicitor or a lawyer or some top dog person, because they've made the family proud. You know, you know, I normally say to a lot of people from the BME community, if your son's a footballer, an artist, a musician, I don't know, a cake decorator, a landscape gardener, encourage these creative work. Because once you encourage them in the skills that they have and the strengths, they will love what they do and they'll continue doing it to the best of their ability. But if, you know, football probably wasn't seen as a great thing when I was growing up. I could never imagine if I said to my dad, I want to be a female footballer. He'd be like, are you actually living on the right planet? You know, or even my son's got ADHD, doesn't have dyslexia, but we went into music and he's gone into uni and he's graduated and he loves what he does. My daughter's a fashion designer. She loves what she does because I encourage them in what they're good at. And I normally say when I go out to give talks, I said, look, whatever your children are great at, please encourage them to excel and not say that because you wanted to be a nurse and you couldn't, you want them to be that nurse. You're two different people at the end of the day, particularly if they've got a condition as well like dyslexia. It may not be that smooth. So what you're finding is that sometimes you get parents saying, well, look, this one let me down because they didn't do what they wanted them to do. It's changing a little bit. Now it's changing a little bit. But when I was growing up, it was really tough to say that you want to be a makeup artist. And that would have been great at the time, you know? Again, going back to the BME community, because it's seen as something that no one really, I don't think, there's not a clear understanding sometimes of what this condition is. And because of that, people are finding out what it is themselves. And I've heard so many stories where people have been sort of called all different names because they can't do it. And I normally say, look, I'm the voice of dyslexia. And I can tell you the amazing successes one can become only if you own that there is something, a condition called dyslexia, and you go for that help. And I give example to people. I said, if you have an arm that was aching, you had a pain in your arm, you're just going to leave it there till that pain gets worse, or you're going to go to your doctor to seek help. And when I flip that, I say to people, You're struggling at school. You know you're failing the education system. Why would you not ask for help? Why would you not go to your Senko? Or why would you not go to your employer, your manager, and say, look, I just couldn't get that report to you because I don't know how, you know? And if you can do that, the example I gave as going to the doctor for the medication is going to your Senko for that help that your child needs, or going to your HR department to say, look, initially, you might have ticked on your form, you've got dyslexia. I need help to perform in the workplace. And I'm a typical example of not disclosing dyslexia when I work for a very large governmental organization. I didn't disclose. And I can't even tell you, Martin, where that took me. You know, I left in the end, and I ended up back on the benefit system because I was ashamed. But there's nothing to be ashamed about, to be honest with you. Absolutely nothing.